Hello, guys, and welcome back to my podcast, The Hypno Lion's Roar. Welcome. Today is, what is today? Today is Monday, the April 8th. Today is the day of the eclipse. So, for those of you who can see it, I live in South Texas. It's overcast. So, the chances of me getting to see the eclipse at this time is about slim to not going to happen. So, oh well. All right. So today we're covering the carnivore diet, meat-based diet, lifestyle with health benefits. Why you need to be on the carnivore diet. And it's very interesting as the carnivore diet becomes more popular, not only popular, but that more people are learning about it and the health benefits and what it accomplishes or what a person can accomplish with the carnivore diet. The more stories, the more articles that are coming out about how meat is bad for you. And it's really, really amazing. I've got a video of a study from Harvard University. I think it's Harvard. But anyway, I'll post it in my notes. And it explains and actually did a study of people of what the benefits of carnivore are and what they accomplished on the diet, how many people lost weight, the percentages, and so on and so forth. Really a good video. I would encourage you to watch it. But you know what? With so many people, I mean, right now, our population here in the United States, in excess of 65, 66% of the population is overweight. So the food pyramid, as the government has laid out, doesn't mean anything. It doesn't work. It has made people fat. The food that has hit the market is inundated with chemicals, with things that the food scientists put in there to make people want to eat more of it, to become addicted to it. The body craves it. And those are the things that are making people fat. So it's not, if you're overweight, it's not your fault because everything is stacked against you. And all the popular diets that come out, the Mediterranean diet and this diet and the grapefruit diet, the don't eat forever diet, you can get overwhelmed with the stuff very easily. Celebrities come out with their own diet books, and more times than not, it's a bunch of hooey. Go vegan. Vegan is not healthy. If you go vegan, you need all the natural plant-based stuff that you want. You're still going to have to take supplements. It's not healthy. It's the vegan diet is just, it's nonsense and it's not healthy. But I want to explore today and really delve in and kind of give you a base of the carnivore diet. And the carnivore diet centers around replacing most, if not all, of your plant-based foods with animal-based foods, which is the way that we were meant to eat. All right. And I'm talking about beef, chicken, fish, pork, I'm talking about fish, chicken, beef, pork, eggs, hard cheeses, limited dairy, and that's it. That's it. That's all you're eating. Now, I started this back in September, second week of September 2023. Today is, as I said, April 8th, 2024. During that time, well, let me back up. Up until mid-February or so, I had lost over 80 pounds without exercise. just eating meat. The first couple of weeks, it was a bit of a challenge, but I got through that. But after that, it became easy, and I can't imagine eating any way else. There have been times that I've traveled and that I've had to go off the diet for, a day or two, visiting family, friends, just traveling in general. And eating outside of the carnivore diet has showed me that those other foods, those plant-based foods, are not good for me at all. So I encourage you to really listen to what I'm about to say, because I'm going to go through a lot of stuff here for you to consider. Okay. You can have, like I say, meat, eggs, organs, broth, very little dairy I would recommend, but it depends on people. If you're if you can't process dairy very well, coffee, tea, spices. Main focus is animal-based nutrition. It's also considered an elimination diet. Simplifies your food choices and eliminates other food groups such as vegetables, fruits, grains, because all of those things have been highly processed to begin with. They're not the same product that we had 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50. Darn sure not the same product we had 100 years ago. Okay. It's important to note that most concerns regarding this carnivore diet and the potential harmful effects of consuming red meat is a bunch of hooey. It's largely myth. And I've seen doctors on YouTube, some medical doctors saying, you can't do that, it's going to cause cancer. It's a bunch of nonsense. Okay. Nonsense. But I would say that before you embark on the carnivore diet, it's crucial to understand that your experience may differ. Some people, like me and my wife, we thrive off this diet from the very start. Others may require a little bit more gradual transition. It can involve starting with single animal-based meals each day, adopting a primary carnivorous diet with an occasional plant-based additions. Me, I just jumped right into it, and one day went from eating the normal American diet to carnivore. There was no gradual with me. I just found it easier that way, and it worked for me. You want to make sure that you're consuming adequate amount of good fat. So you're eating all the animal fat. There are times that you may have to add fat to your meals, such as butter. Anytime we cook meat, we always add butter because it's a good fat for us. We process our own animals, such as cows and pigs. And when we get those processed animals back, packaged and cut the way that we want them cut, we also get all of the fat off the animal. And I take that fat and I render it down into lard or beef tallow. And I put it in canning jars and I put it in the freezer, and that's what we add the additional fat with, because animal fat has more nutrients and good amino acids than a lot of fish, or freshwater fish anyway. So that's a good fat. So if you're frying in pure pork lard and beef tallow, you're getting a very nutritious addition. And so there's sometimes we'll take chicken wings and we'll deep fry them in lard, or we'll deep fry them in the beef tallow and pull them out, and then we'll add our homemade hot sauce to it to make them hot wings, and that's it. And the interesting thing that when you fry in pure pork lard, let's say that you put in, just for the sake of argument, 12 ounces of pork lard, and that's what you're frying in. Now, once the frying is done, we strain it and we put it back in a container for us to continue to use. Now, if you've put in 12 ounces, when you pour that back in there, you're going to probably lose maybe an ounce. And the reason being is because I have found that frying in pork lard and beef tallow, the food does not absorb that fat. That fat does not absorb into the food. Now, it fries it. It provides good nutrients. But if you take a Wesson oil or a Carnivore oil or any of those other pressed oils and you fry, that stuff is going into the food. And if you put in 12 ounces, you might get 8 ounces back. And when you ingest that stuff is not good for you at all. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a little test that's going on right now where I've taken a small container of pork lard and a small container, the same amount of seed oils. I think it's a Wesson oil. And I took those two oils and I placed them outside. And why did I do that? Well, I wanted to see how fast the pork lard broke down in the UV light and how fast the other broke down, the Wesson oil broke down in UV light, and what it left behind. So I've been doing that now. I've got it out there. It's been about a week now. So I'll check it here in a bit. So I'm just going to see what it does. I'm filming everything, and if it's of any consequence, then I'll introduce you to what my findings are. May not be all that exciting, but it's something that I wanted to know. The consuming of the correct amount of fat, that fat is energy and overall health. The beef, for example, it offers highly nutritious proteins and the fat that promotes muscle and maintenance growth, weight loss. If you just eat protein and no fat, your body can't survive. There's actually people in the past that have eaten rabbits, and rabbits are very high protein, but they have no fat. And there was some information that was presented concerning that I had read, that if you only had rabbit to eat, that in a matter of time you would simply die, even though you're eating and eating and eating, because it has no fat, it has nutritional, it doesn't have a lot of nutritional value because it doesn't have the fat, which I found interesting. So if you previously experimented with the low carbohydrate diets like the Atkins diet, the keto diets, transitioning to the carnivore diet may be very easy for you to do. However, if you're accustomed to a high carbohydrate diet, expect some adjustment challenges, especially in the gut. Okay, the first couple of weeks, what challenged me in the first couple of weeks, it wasn't the fact that I didn't eat anything else other than meat, but what it did is it started cleaning my system out, and it tore me up. The bathroom a lot. It wasn't pleasant. I mean, I could barely stand the stink. I mean, it was just, it went through such a process of elimination of all that crap out of my system, excuse the pun, that it was challenging. But in terms of the food and eating the diet, I had no problem with that. No problem at all. You want to start with fattier cuts of meat, such as ribeye steaks and beef ribs, which are great. But because we process our own cow, when we put a cow in, we get that cow back. We'll have 700 and anywhere from 700 to figure 850, 900 pounds of meat in the freezer. And there's only so many ribeyes on that cow. There's only so much rib meat on that cow. There are other cuts of meat that are there. So we get a lot of hamburger, porter steaks, round steaks, those type of steaks. And really, when you get into those cuts, those are a little bit tougher cuts of meat. You have to know how to cook them. And what I've discovered in cooking those meats is the sous vide. Excuse me. The sous vide is where you take, it's a machine. It looks like a big curling iron, but it's a heating element. You set the temperature on it, put it in a vat of water, and then you take your meat that is sealed in a plastic bag, and you drop the meat down in there, and you set the temperature for the water at 120 degrees, 160, whatever, however you want the meat to cook. That's what you set it at, and then you let it cook, not for minutes or a couple hours, but you're letting it cook hours. The last one we did was a couple of days ago, and it was on a tough cut of meat. It was a round steak, and I cooked it for 24 hours. And then I pulled it out, drained it off, and I could barely get the meat out of the bag. I probably cooked it a little bit longer than I should have, but it was very, very tender. And then what you do is you drain it, pat it dry, and then you can put it in a cast iron skillet and sear it, but you want to make sure it's really, really dry. So you may want to leave it on a cookie rack where air can get around it, and just let it dry for a couple of hours. Because if you put it in a skillet, a hot skillet, it'll just take the moisture in the steak and turn it to steam, and it's not going to sear. Or you can put it on the grill and just sear it for a minute on each side, and then slap it on a plate and eat it. And I got to tell you, it was a wonderful tasting piece of meat, and you could cut it with a fork. Now, I'd cooked that meat cut before, and I'd tried the slow cooking. I put it in the oven slow cook for 4 or 5 hours. I think it was 180 or 225 or whatever. And still, it was, even though it was flavorful, it was just a really tough cut of meat. But the sous vide I've found is wonderful. And I'll do something on the sous vide here in the next couple of podcasts, or maybe posting a video outside of this on YouTube where you can go through and you can watch some of the things that I do. And hopefully it's helpful for you. One of the 3 compelling reasons that you want to try or switch to the carnivore diet is this: a metabolic health improvement. Now, the carnivore diet's carbohydrate restriction can lead to, stabilized blood sugar, improved energy levels, increased mental clarity, and by steering your body into a state of ketosis where the fat in your body is effectively utilized for energy. And that's the power of the carnivore diet. That's the power of how you're supposed to eat anyway. Look, we eat and our body stores fat, and then we've been trained to eat 4, 5, 6 times a day because we've been buffaloed into thinking you spread that out and it's better for you, which is nonsense. Okay. All you're doing is you're taxing your system because you have to give your body time to rest before you eat. Okay. Before you eat your next meal. And I haven't even gone into doing the intermittent fasting or fasting and the benefits health-wise for that. But you can't eat 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. It makes no sense because it doesn't give your body time to recover and to process, and it turns, you store fat. So anytime that you're eating and you're not expending energy, your body is storing the fat. So when you start eating carnivore diet and you do it correctly, your body you'll eat, but you'll be satiated and very, very quickly. because the body's going to tell you, look, you don't need anything else to eat. This is good. You've got plenty of fat here in this blubberous body that you have that we're going to take care of. And then you go into ketosis and the body feeds on that fat within your body and you start dropping weight very quickly. Now, here's the thing. As I told you, from September, second week September to the middle of February, I was down 80 pounds. Just figure 80 pounds. And I hit a plateau at that time to where I was stuck. And I would go up a pound and I'd drop 2 pounds, up a pound, 2 pounds. And it just bounced all over the place. And there were times where I was storing, where I was holding on water, my water retention, for whatever reasons. They're trying to figure out why I'm holding water. I've had every test in the world and done everything. So anyway, so it's been bouncing up, and I did not change weight for a couple of months. And based on my research, based on listening to doctors and that who are well versed in the carnivore diet, this is normal. So I didn't freak out about it. It just is what it is. However, my wife and I did continue to take our measurements. And what we found was that even though, now my wife had long ago hit her weight where she's supposed to be at. Okay. Me, however, the measurements of the body were still changing. They were reducing, even though my weight was not dropping at the same time. Now I've got about 25 pounds to go to hit my fighting weight. And when I say fighting weight, my weight that I was at when I was a kickboxer and I was boxing. That's why I call it my fighting weight. So the measurements were improving, but the weight wasn't dropping. So I said, all right, whatever. I'm on this for long term. This is not something that is, oh my God, I'm freaking out about. I'm not, no. The day is going to pass anyway. You're going to go to sleep. You're going to wake up and you're going to go sleep. You're going to wait. The day is going to pass anyway. Time is going to pass. So this is the way that we eat, and this is this. And I don't miss any of that other crap. So anyway. So 3 days ago, I got on the scale, and I'm now down 84 pounds. And the way I measure that is I'll take the weight measurement for 3 days. And because if I drop a pound, it may go up, it's water weight or whatever. Or maybe I didn't go to the bathroom first thing in the morning, because I weigh myself first thing in the morning. And that's the weight that you're going to be at. Because if you weigh yourself in the morning and then you weigh yourself in the evening, I can guarantee you that you're going to weigh more in the evening than you do in the evening than you did in the morning. Because your true weight is the weight that you wake up with. Not after you drink and not after you eat and absorb water and this and blah, 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 going through all that. That's just the normal cycle of what it is. Okay. So anyway, I took my weight 3 days in a row, and I'm down an additional 4 pounds. So I'm 85 down, 85 pounds down. Okay. So you have to approach this very logically and just as a matter of factly. But if you're unhealthy and you're overweight and you want to get control of your health, you have to be very committed to what you're doing. That you're not going outside of the lines. That the rules are the rules of how you're eating the carnivore way, and you're not going to paint outside those lines. As long as you approach it like that, then everything else will fall into place. All the other stuff you don't have to worry about. Okay. So anyway, the number 2 thing is body composition and body weight. The elimination of starchy foods, carbohydrate-rich foods, coupled with the inclusion of satiating and nutrient-dense animal foods, will often result in weight loss. It's the natural process because the body, that's the way the body is supposed to operate anyway. Some individuals, maybe it may report even better weight loss outcomes with the carnivore diet compared with the keto diet. Now, I had done the keto diet in the past, and we lost a few pounds, my wife and I. We felt better. It was great. The problem with the keto diet for me that I found was there were too many loopholes, which I didn't understand. I didn't realize at the time. Okay. And the too many loopholes is that when you go to the grocery store and you're going down the aisle, the keto aisle that they now have, the companies have said, hey, we're getting on the bandwagon, and which is a bunch of processed garbage. Again, you fall right into the same exact thing. You go off of it. Next thing you know, up and down each aisle at the store, and there you go. You're grabbing your Cheerios and Oreos and chips and blah, 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 and all that stuff. The companies can't do that with meat. They can't do it with just meat. Meat is what it is, meat. And that's what you stick to. Same thing with eggs, same things with hard cheeses. If you want cheese, go with a hard cheese. Some of the individuals, blah, blah, success stories. For example, 47-year-old man lost over 80 pounds. Highlight the potential of this way of eating. And I really, you know what? I really do not like calling this a diet because it's not a diet. It is a diet. It's, you know what? The industry is so bastardized that word diet. It's the way that you eat. It's your way that you eat. It's my way and that's why I say when I refer to it is the carnivore way of eating, because it's not a diet. Diet for me, it signifies that you're starting a diet and at some point it's going to end, and that you're going to go back to the same normal crap that you did, and you're going to end up in the same normal blubberous way that you were that when you first started. So this is a way of eating. Okay. 3, reduction of inflammation in the body. Removing plant foods from your diets may, and I'm tell you straight up, it did for me, reduce chronic inflammation and joint pain. It went away. My blood pressure, which was up and down, it was inching higher. They wanted to put me on a statin. I'm not doing a statin. After 2 weeks, moving into the 3rd week on this way of eating, my blood pressure stabilized, and I never took another blood pressure medication from that point forward or up until now. I'm not on any medications, but my 30-day average is 123 over 82 or 83, something like that. Now, my cardiologist doesn't know that, but he will. But he's not seen me since last summer. So by the time he sees me in person again, he's going to see 85 plus pounds less of me. And he's going to think, oh, the medications are working, at which time I'll inform him that, no, I quit those back in September. So we'll see how that goes over. The lower carbohydrate diet, it can improve your heart health, lower inflammation, and this contradicts mainstream dietary advice. It just does. But it resonates with many individuals such as myself. Look, when you have the food industry that pays doctors for research to get certain results, even those even though those results are not accurate, then at some point in time, you get to say, you know what, I'm not listening to doctors because they have ulterior motives. They're just like anybody else. You wave a few bucks in front of them and you'll be amazed what people do. And that's for the vast majority of people. Look at politicians. Okay? I mean, come on. So anyway, focusing on animal foods while eliminating most plant-based counterparts, vegetables, fruits, eliminate that stuff. It serves no nutritional value at all to you. Look, my cows, I can take you out there right now. My cows eat cow food and they eat hay and grass. Okay? They will go out there, they will eat hay, and then they'll go lay down somewhere. And then they'll get up and they'll graze on the grass a little bit. And then they'll go back to hay. And then my wife at night will put out, or maybe in the morning, some cow cubes or whatever. And they eat that. And that's all they eat. Okay. Now they have hay on demand. But I have yet to have any of my cows come up to the fence line and ask for pizza, because it's not what they eat. And it shouldn't be what you eat either. Okay. Before you start on anything like this, everything that I'm giving you is my opinion based on my experiences. I'm not a doctor, so check with your healthcare provider first. I can guarantee you this, that if you do, they'll tell you not to do it. So I got my advice from different doctors. Okay. So there you go. You figure it out from there. But with the carnivore diet, you're going to see incredible results. And a lot of it is not understood because they don't do studies on it. They don't do studies on it because they don't know, they don't want to know what the results will be, because it's not going to turn out good for them. If you're a company, if you're a food company that makes breakfast cereal in the morning that's loaded with sugar and fake ingredients, why would you pay for a study that's going to show that what you make is crap and people shouldn't be eating it? They're not. So they're gonna pick their battles. Now, one of the things that people have said about the carnivore diet is that switching to the carnivore diet is costly. And I'm going to disagree with that. And the way that I'm going to disagree with that is because when you switch to the carnivore way of eating, you're not buying vegetables and fruits and wasting money on those things, but you're also not throwing them out, because everybody knows that we all throw vegetables and fruits out because they start going bad within a period of time because you don't eat them. All right. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into the refrigerator. My wife has purchased a thing of bananas. She's bought lettuce and this and all of this, and it sits in there and it sits in there and it sits in there. And I go in there and I pull it out and it's turned to liquid. And we end up throwing it away. So and every time you throw it away, it just irritated the hell out of me, because that's dollars being thrown out. But when you switch to that and you move to your meat and you start shopping for your meat and finding out when the meat departments have things on sale or when they're going to do this or that, you can be very cost effective with just eating meat, because you're not buying all that other stuff. You're not buying the cookies. You're not buying the chips. You're not buying any of that crap. So all you're doing is rerouting money that you're already spending anyway and putting it to the meat. And then as you're going through this process anyway, you're not going to be able to finish a good portion of the meat that you cook for yourself. And then you just carry it over for breakfast the next morning, or whatever the case may be. Because there were times that we sat down, my wife and I sat down with ribeyes or a steak, and we each had one, and neither one of us could get through halfway through our steak. So we just got to the point to where we just split a steak and called it a day. And if we were still hungry or that, maybe we'll cook an egg with it, a couple of eggs, and throw them on there. We're done. Okay. You eat to live. You don't live to eat. All right. Sitting down for a meal should not be a form of entertainment or an event. It should be, you eat, you do it, you're done, you're moving on down the road to something else. Unless you're going out to dinner with friends or whatever, which that's a different thing. I don't like people anyway. But anyway, so there you go. Okay. Now, one of the things that people report when they first start this way of eating is they'll feel weak or tired during the first few weeks. And it's due to the lack of energy from not consuming enough calories or nutrients, i.e. you haven't eaten enough fat. Fat. You should be eating 50% protein, 50% fat is the way that you should do it. Now, I know it's counterproductive to what you've heard, that you say, hey, I get non-fat anything. Well, that's part of the freaking problem. Fat, good fat, does not make you fat. It doesn't. So you have to consume it because the body needs that. It lubricates things. So in closing and wrapping this up, if you're going to start this way of eating, and if you think about it, we do this with everything that we do. And what we start with is the why. Why do you want to change the way that you eat? What are the benefits? What's the WIFM? WIIFM. I use that a lot. What that stands for is what's in it for me. What's in it for you by changing the way that you eat? Maybe it's to get healthy. Maybe it's to lower your blood pressure. Maybe it's to eliminate inflammation in your body. Maybe it's to lose weight. Maybe the goal is to live as long as possible. But more so than that, be healthy enough to do what you want at the age that you want to live to. Whatever the reason is for starting this way of eating, it needs to be one that you can fall back on when times get tough. The why. When the times get tough, fall back on the why. Why you do this. If you're just doing it because it sounds cool or fun or everybody else has done, and oh, look at Wayne, he did this, you're going to quit. You're going to cheat when you hit a rough patch. You just are. You have to be passionate, and you have to be very forward focusing. You have to have blinders on. You have to approach it with the attitude, this is the way that I'm doing it, and I don't care what else happens. I'm not moving out of this lane. Because that's the only way that you're going to get through the first couple of 3 weeks or month. And it could be that the same way with starting any other way, any other diet. Now, if I could give you one piece of advice, one tip, that when you start this process of eating the carnivore way, is to plan your meals in advance. And it's really simple. You just pick your meat out and pull it out a couple of days, let it thaw in the refrigerator, whether it's chicken or pork or beef. If you pull out frozen meat, regardless of what the meat is, and you take it and put it in a sink of cold water and leave it there for a couple hours, it's going to be thawed when you come back. You don't have to put it out on the counter, as long as it's sealed in plastic and the water can't get in. It's going to thaw very, very quickly. Okay, but you want to plan your meals. And once you get into the routine of just eating meat, you're gonna bounce between chicken and fish and pork and beef. If you go to Costco or Sam's Club, pick up a couple of rotisserie chickens, and there's your meal for the next day or so. Okay, and it's very easy. But when you plan your meals, just realize the bulk of your nutrition is going to come from 2 big meals. When I say 2 big meals, 2 meals a day. We eat, sometimes at 10, sometimes at noon for the first meal. And then our last meal is around anywhere from 3 to 5 p.m. And then after 5 p.m., we don't eat after that time. Now, if you're a person like me who likes snacks, I like snacks, but I have special snacks. And my snacks are beef jerky. And I make my own beef jerky just because of the cost. If you go and buy beef jerky in the store, you're literally, if you buy a pound of beef jerky, you're probably going to pay about $60. It's nuts, because that beef jerky, when it's dehydrated, if you start out with a pound of meat, by the time you're done, you might have 4 ounces by the time it's beef jerky. So it's going to lose a lot of the moisture, a lot of the mass by the time it's dehydrated. So before I got a dehydrator, I just did it in the oven. I sliced it, I marinated it, and put it in the oven, low temperature, and left it there for 10, 12, 13, 14 hours, whatever, until it was done. And then I'd bag it up and put it in the freezer and pull it out as I go. And I did that with the cheaper cuts of meats, the roast. Not a big roast guy. A lot of people, put it in there. I don't like roast. So we just use this beef jerky. And maybe I'll do something on that as well to give you an idea how I do that. But you're going to want to plan your meals. Look at your snacks. Hard-boiled eggs are great snacks. Deviled eggs are great snacks. I normally will hard-boil 24, 36 eggs and make deviled eggs and put them in a container and put them in the refrigerator, and we'll snack on that, maybe have 2 or 3 in a day as a snack. High protein, good fat, real simple. Okay. So now I come to the part where I explain to people that programming, the subconscious mind, you can do every bit of this yourself if you're strong enough. I find that most people are not strong enough. Most people are, they've got some pre-programming in their subconscious mind that causes them to go off track for whatever reason. And that's where, with what I do as a hypnotist, comes into play. Whether it's sugar addictions or carbohydrate addictions, late night eating, snacking, all of these things that can derail you very quickly when you're trying to get healthy. So this is where I come in and I help people correct those things so they can continue down the road and the path that they need to go in order to get healthy. But it also corrects a lot of other things, whether it could be anxieties or depressions or confidence or whatever the case may be. There's always things. Everybody needs help in these areas. So I'd encourage you that if you're thinking about doing this carnivore diet, this carnivore way of eating rather, then set yourself up for success. Get with a person, get with a hypnotist such as myself, follow a program. I've got a complete program called Pounds Away that I put together based on my experience with the carnivore diet and to set people up for success. So I've already got this laid out. And I'm starting a group, online group, that will meet once a week, that as a support group, if you want to go that direction. If you want to go and do individual, whether it's online or in person, there's not a nickel's worth of difference between those two ways of me working with clients. I've got clients all over the country. So it's just a matter of figuring out what you want to do. But you can do this. You can accomplish this. You can get healthy. You can get your health back, and you can take charge of your health. You don't need a lot of other people telling you about how to get healthy, because it's already done. You just need to follow the rules. Okay, so I will end it with that. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Everybody have a blessed day. And as always, make good choices. See you next time.